Well, good morning, one and all. We are back in the saddle, back in the studio, broadcasting live on Facebook Live, that is, pre-recorded on BizTalk Radio, and again, broadcasting live from the iHeartMedia World Domination Headquarters, located right here in San Diego, California. Brian Main, Tiger Palafox, our good buddy John Bagnasco, a bit under the weather. He's not going to be with us today, so we'll have that empty chair, which is to my right, to Tiger's left. Tiger, you're here feeling good. Now, you know what? I don't want people to panic. Because as soon as somebody these days, they say, hey,
so true, right?
I don't feel good. Oh, he's got COVID. That's not the case. There are still flu bugs going around. People still get colds, so on and so forth. So John's just not feeling up to par this morning to come into the studio.
Yeah, exactly. And, so you can take a day off every once in a while. We'll allow it.
We're going to allow it. So it's the Tiger Brian Tiger Show this morning. We've got a great guest from Florida this morning, Tatiana. From Top Tropicals, I believe, Tiger, going to be talking about tropicals. If that's up your alley or you like tropicals and want to get into it, stay tuned for that.
And it's so funny because people will think, why are they talking about tropicals right now in the middle of winter? There's places under snow. There's places freezing. Even here in Southern California, it is chilly. But this time of year, there's a lot to do for your tropicals because of that, whether it's taking care of them in case of frost, or whether the preparation for fertilization as soon as the cold weather's over. And then we'll be also talking about some of the really good tropical fruit trees that you can grow depending on where you're at. Because that's the thing, everybody loves a fresh mango or kiwi or something, right?
Right. Now, I came in this morning and told you that I've got a great big hibiscus bloom.
Yeah.
It's the middle of January. So you're saying to yourself, and this doesn't go for all areas of the country, but you say, well, why do we talk tropicals in the wintertime? Well, I've got a hibiscus that's in bloom, and that's not unusual here in San Diego.
Yeah, that's part of the reason why we live here, right? Like, and then just over my shoulder, where taking the place of John's seat, I brought in this beautiful Cymbidium orchid from my house with the yellow flower. I'll zoom in on it there. And, it's in bloom. It is not unusual for Cymbidiums to be blooming this time of year, but nonetheless, it is kind of tropical, right?
And that doesn't go for all tropicals, but enough that we can have this discussion, and the fact that, it's January, but you know what? We will be warming up before too long, so
it'll sneak up on us.
And in gardening, I think, at least in my mind, the number one thing is planning.
Yeah.
You don't wait until it's time. You do it before it's time.
That's the best way to stay ahead of things. That's the best way to be successful, is to plan ahead and make sure that you're anticipating these things, whether it be fertilizing, pruning, trimming the, dead flowers off of it in preparation for new flowers to come on, pest maintenance, just all that kind of stuff. And, let's be real, as gardeners also, when we can't do so much of the planting and the other things that you do in the spring, we all kind of get a little bit jonesy out there. Like, I'll just find myself walking out in my yard and just starting to pull little weeds here.
Yeah, as you
walk
by.
I just grab a bucket and my little weeder, and I just walk around the yard.
I do the same thing.
Weeding.
Go outside the front door as I'm walking out like you.
Yeah.
For some reason this year, and I don't know if it's all the rain we've had, because it was happening before, many more weeds this year than in previous years, at least in my area. I'm pulling a lot more out of pots, out of the ground. What about you?
Weeds usually are produced from seeds. So
birds are dropping seeds
Birds are
everywhere.
dropping, all of that kind of thing. And so definitely, if you can stay ahead of weeds before they have an opportunity to flower in your garden, then you will then stay ahead of the weeds for upcoming years, because you're preventing the population of weed seeds in your garden to keep coming back. But nonetheless, like you say, critters, birds, all kinds of things do bring in weed seeds. And this year, I think one of the biggest things, too, for us is we got that rain.
Right.
And then we got warm weather.
Yeah.
And that's a great thing for weeds to, propagate, to germinate, and to grow. Where normally, if we have cold periods, the weeds aren't as quick to return because they wait till it gets warm.
Sure, yeah.
But that rain, that watering, and then the warm weather is definitely going to encourage the weeds to grow.
Yeah, and that rain was so bad, you and I both experienced an overflow in some of our potted plants.
Yeah, and that was crazy.
It's just nuts, because normally we have good drainage. Your hole in your pot got clogged up.
Completely clogged with the roots, so got to scrape all those out to make sure the pot does drain now. Had to empty it, like you, tipping it over, and just water coming out of it.
But it's still mucked. It was just, I don't know if it's ever going to dry out. I mean, we'll see. I mean, the plumeria is still there.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
You'll be fine. It'll be fine. Plumerias are actually pretty hardy.
Yeah, they are hardy, and they look bad this time of the year, and they should.
Yes, they
the
should.
leaves look bad. They're falling off. You know, I brushed up against one of my plumerias, and about 10 leaves fell off.
It just shuddered, and all the leaves fell off.
Exactly. So, hey, a lot to do today without John. Again, John is a bit under the weather, but he's okay in terms of anything serious. As far as we know, he'll be back with us next week.
Did you see the newsletter?
I did see the newsletter, and that was my next.
John still has the Happy 2022 New Year up on the banner there.
Saw that.
I'm like, I had to double check if I opened the right newsletter because I was like, oh,
now what
what
kind of huge palm is that? It fans out.
Oh yeah, the traveler's palm.
My gosh, I love that. See, I love palm trees and anything palm related, and that is I've never seen one of those.
They're amazing
in San Diego.
Yeah.
Are they around?
They are a bit more tropical.
They are, right?
You can find them in different places like the Balboa Park or San Diego Zoo, where people have taken care of them specifically to grow. So they're borderline here, so you don't see them very often. True, but
have you ever planted one for a client?
No, never. No, I've never have.
If I had a huge house and a huge backyard, that would be my request.
And there are so many cool looking palms, right?
Oh yeah,
different ones.
Right.
So, yeah, the traveler's palm was really cool in there as well. So
we'll get that Happy 2022 off in time for next week's newsletter.
Before 2023 comes.
Exactly.
Speaking
of go ahead.
Do you want to do the quote of the week?
That's exactly what I was thinking about. I don't have it in front of me. Do you?
Yeah, I have it. And it's an interesting one.
It's a long quote, isn't it?
Do you know who Ed Begley Jr. is?
Right, actor.
Oh, is that
the
who
son
that
of
is?
Big Bagley, yeah.
Okay, because I was going to ask John about it today.
He was on, a show back in the 90s. I'm sure one of our viewers on Facebook Live can tell us.
Yeah? What show?
I'm trying to think of this show, but yeah, actor.
All right. Here we go.
And a conservationist, I believe, as well.
Okay.
So somebody correct me on Facebook Live if that's not the case.
So we run around so much with the best intentions. I want to save the rainforests. I've got to clean up the oceans. I've got to save the dolphins. All worthy efforts. But if you're not centered and you don't have the serenity in your life you need to accomplish the task, you're not going to do a very good job.
Now, see, I totally get that.
Yeah.
Basically, if you've got your own house in order, if you're calm, if you've got everything together, then you can take time out to do these things. Yeah. But if you're running around and your life's a mess and you're trying to take care of whatever, how are you going to do a good job doing those things he mentioned?
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. And but it's just crazy because it's also one of those daunting tasks. Like, where do you even start?
Where do you start?
But that's where I think this quote comes in because it's center yourself. Find what's important to you. Is it the rainforest? Is it the ocean?
Don't do too many things.
Just whatever. Is it?
Spread yourself out.
Yeah, exactly.
The rainforest. Boy, we talked about that.
But you know what's funny? You know who's really good at that? At this exact thing, I think, is John Pignosco. Because think about his life of plants. Like, house plants, he was focused on that for a long time. Succulents, and his current thing, and it's been his thing for a long time, is roses. But he sticks to it. He doesn't allow himself to get distracted by other things.
That's true. Now, he'll do other things, but that's his main course.
Yes, that's what makes him happy.
And the other stuff, they're side dishes, So he's meat and potatoes when it comes to roses. Hey, I do want to mention, he was on St. Elsewhere.
What's that?
That TV show St. Elsewhere. Was that probably the 80s or 90s? Come on, you're not that young.
I don't know what that is. No, Saint Elsewhere?
Saint Elsewhere.
Was that a TV show or was that a soap opera?
Yes, TV show.
Okay.
It's a TV show. Anyway, that said, we're going to be talking to Tatiana. What's her last name again? Tatiana.
Anderson.
What's that?
Anderson.
Anderson, that's right.
Yeah.
And so questions, comments pertaining to tropicals, or really, as always with this show, anything else that you want to talk about, we are here for that as well. So when we bring Tatiana on, we will be diving into tropicals. So anybody with any questions right there on Facebook Live. I do want to remind those on Biz Talk Radio listening to this pre-recorded show, if you do want to watch our show live, go to our Facebook page, Garden America Radio Show. It's 8:06 on the West Coast, 11:06 Eastern Time Zone. That's when we kick off the show. You can watch us live. You can interact. You can ask questions, so on and so forth. We also have a YouTube channel, Garden America Radio Show. This show here will be uploaded within a few hours after we go off the air. You can go to our YouTube channel. You can watch a lot of shows, past, previous, whatever. Pause, rewind, fast forward. You'll never miss a show.
Wow.
That's all I got right now.
Lots of great info, though.
Lots of great info.
Yeah.
And Tatiana is out of Florida, right?
Yeah, she's out of Florida. I can't remember exactly where in Florida. Fort Myers, I believe it is. But, you know, I mean, we've got a lot of good interaction over the week, too, on our program. There's a lot of people that are, again, starting to feel that garden itch.
Right.
Just kind of, it's been winter long enough. I mean, I know for a lot of people, we still have a lot of ways to go.
They want to stretch their legs, though.
Exactly.
Hey, we're going to take a break. It's our first break, second segment coming up. Those on BizTalk Radio, you get the opportunity to hear many of our fine sponsors who support Garden America. For the rest of us on Facebook Live, going to be getting in touch with Tatiana Anderson. She's our upcoming guest. In the meantime, it is Brian Mayne, yours truly, Tiger Palafox, I believe. It's still Palafox. That's what he's going by. John is off for the day. We're going to take a break after these messages on BizTalk Radio. Thank you for sitting through the break on BizTalk Radio. Those on Facebook Live, we are back. A much quicker break on Facebook Live. It is Garden America. Happy weekend. Thank you for spending part of your weekend with us here. John is off today. Myself, Brian Mayne, Tiger Palafox. We're going to be talking Tropicals, Tiger, with Tatiana Anderson. So let's get started. And again, those on Facebook Live, we welcome your questions and your comments. Tiger?
Yeah, so joining us this morning from Fort Myers, Florida, the owner of Top Tropicals, Tatiana Anderson. Now, originally from Russia, Tatiana, is there any portion of Russia that is like Fort Myers, Florida?
I really don't have a straight answer for you. I know that I am not really in Russia right now. I'm here in Fort Myers, Florida, and talking to you from Top Tropicals, the home of tropical plants. It's completely different environment here.
Yeah.
You guys staying warm in there?
We're staying warm. It's nice. It's sunny and in the low 70s during the day.
Upper 60s, low 70s.
Yeah.
How about you, Tatiana? What's it like down there in Florida?
Well, we're blessed to have very nice, mild winter this year. Our mango trees are all flowering, setting fruit. They're going crazy since November. We do have a couple kind of chilly nights, but we'll get it covered. Literally, we cover stuff with whatever sensitive. We just cover it with special frost cloth, and it helps a lot. We have lots of heaters in case it really goes bad, but so far it's good. I guess we're very blessed to have very nice warm weather.
Oh, yeah.
So you, right now is the time of year when you said the mangoes are actually fruiting?
Well, they're supposed to do it this way. Normally they would start flowering around January.
Okay.
Depending on variety. Some early varieties may start in December, like Namdok Mai. But normally in January, this is why it's always a hassle here. If it gets to frost, then we're always worried about that those flowers would get killed. But this time, this winter, somehow they started all this show in November.
Oh.
And right now we have lots of trees full of flowers, setting fruit, and we're just praying for no freeze, that the temperatures don't drop down freezing point, and this way it will be a good chance to have very good crops this year of mangoes.
So you're saying if you live in an area where it very rarely freezes in, January, February, so, obviously the southern states, more mild climate areas, you can grow mangoes then, because that's the time of year that they are going to be fruiting. And as long as you're not getting any kind of severe frost, they'll be okay, huh?
Well, absolutely. And I tell you more that even if you do have frost, which is mangoes normally, if they once they get mature, once they get established, they pretty cold tolerant to a light frost for a few hours. But even in case when you have smaller plants and you still want to grow it and you have cold winters, you can keep a lot of varieties in the pot. You can move them in if it gets cold, and they're going to start flowering for you in wintertime, and by spring, you're going to have your first fruit. It depends on varieties. There is some late varieties, and if you just check our website, toptropicals.com, we have over 100 different varieties of mango, and they all differ by fruiting time and the season and the size of the fruit and flavor, all kinds of stuff. It's a huge catalog of mango varieties that we have on the website. So actually, I was just working on it a couple of days ago. I couldn't believe we have so many, and we're getting more and more varieties every year because people want them. So we search the world for new varieties. And in fact, we've been grafting a lot this winter, some new varieties that's coming up, hopefully this year or 2023. So watch out for our updates with mango varieties.
Yeah, and that's interesting because, as you mentioned, and we talked about this when we had you on the show a while back about growing mangoes in a container, which a lot of people I don't think realize was possible. But if you do grow them in a container and you do live in one of those areas where it does get cold, that's the best thing that you can do because you can just move that container under some cover or a little closer to your house where it's going to stay a bit warmer. And having that ability to move your tropical plants is a important thing if you do live in those borderline areas, because when you put it out in the yard, it's there. You can cover it, like you said, with some frost cloth or something, Tatiana, but it's there. You don't get the opportunity to move it in a real severe frost situation.
Right,
now,
right. Yeah, container culture is a good solution, and not only for mango, but also an avocado, which is, I would say, it's the second most popular tropical fruit tree. Avocados, even though majority people think that avocado is a huge tree, which is somewhat true, but there is quite a few dwarf varieties. I have in my son's yard, I have a 12 years old avocado tree, variety Fuerte. Mm-hmm. And I'd say it's probably 7 feet tall. Mm-hmm. It's huge. I mean, the diameter of the crown is huge, and it's just full of fruit every year. It doesn't know what to do with them. So, and the tree stays very short. So if you do keep it in a pot, that's a good solution. And there's quite a few varieties like that. So we also have them on toptropicals.com. On our website, there is a whole section of avocado varieties. Not just one avocado. We have probably 69 of them.
Yeah, people don't realize how many varieties there are.
Hey, do you want to hit that question, Tiger?
Which one?
And the question is from Lisa. What is the best way to get my orchids to bloom?
Oh, yeah. So, Tatiana, let's talk a little bit about this right here, because you have a line of fertilizers, sunshine boosters, and I saw specifically one for orchids. And orchids can be a little bit tricky in terms of blooming. What are your thoughts on that right there?
Well, the good thing about this particular fertilizer, why it's going to help you, is because it's amino acid based and it's not going to burn your orchid. With orchids, it's always a concern when you try to do orchid culture and when you're learning about it. The first thing you learn about fertilizers for orchids, that there is special fertilizers for orchids, right? You can't just use anything, any fertilizer like dry fertilizers or granulated. You can't apply it on an orchid. You have to be very careful. And the reason for it is because orchids require acidic fertilizers. Now, sunshine boosters, they're all acidic, so it's out of question. They're not going to hurt it. And besides that, we have this special formula for orchids specifically. It's very mild. It's a scientifically formulated, very balanced, nice, balanced formula that is not going to hurt the plant. You can apply it pretty much with every watering. You probably water your orchid, I don't know, maybe once a week. It doesn't need like a daily water. But every time you water, you can apply it with a spray over the leaves or over the root system, and it just does magic. It's so natural fertilizer that the plants just love it. They eat it, and they eat the whole thing. There is no leftovers. That's the good part about this formulations, because there is no It's called lockup. There is no nutrient lockup,
And
meaning, there is no excess salt. So the plant is going to consume the whole spectrum of nutrients that you're offering in that cup.
yeah, and as you mentioned, with them being the amino acid base, like it's different than the classic NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, potash style fertilization. These are minerals and vitamins that the plants are going to take up a little bit differently, but they're the things that the plants need as well, and they don't always just come in a basic NPK fertilizer program, right, Tatiana?
Well, the only difference is the NPK is always there because this is what the plant food is about, to provide enough nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, plus microelements. That's the basics.
Hey, Tatiana,
that's the
sorry to
basics
interrupt.
Of any fertilizer. The difference between sunshine boosters or some other liquid fertilizers and the traditional.
Hey, Tatiana, sorry, got to cut you off. I'm so sorry. We're running a bit late for the break. Keep that train of thought, Tatiana. I'm going to come right back. And again, those on Facebook Live, questions, comments, again, running a bit late for the network. So we're going to take a quick break back after these messages on Biz Talk Radio. Okay, welcome back to the show. Those on Biz Talk Radio, Facebook Live, thank you for tuning in. Our apologies to Tatiana for having to cut her off because she always offers such great information, so we want to backtrack a little bit here and not miss anything. But again, welcome to Garden America on your Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon. Tiger, back to Tatiana.
Yeah, and we're talking with Tatiana Anderson from Top Tropicals in Fort Myers, Florida. And before the break, Tatiana, you were giving such a great explanation of the Sunshine Booster plant fertilizers compared to other ones. And, you were breaking it down because that's the thing. People want to know if, fertilizer, why does it work? And, we were just talking about the classic NPK, the nitrogen, phosphorus, potash in fertilizers is the basis. And as you said, they're always going to be there. There's always going to be those elements in fertilizers. But what other fertilizers don't have are some of the amino acids, different nutrients, different minerals that, you guys have put together a program specifically for a lot of these tropical plants that there's not. I mean, you can find 1,000 fertilizers for different roses or how to, roses compared to different flowers and things like that. But for tropicals, they come from a lot of different regions, and so it's nice to have these fertilizers specifically for varieties that you've created here. Tatiana, now you guys do sell these fertilizers online, right?
Yes, correct. So you can order it from toptropicals.com or go directly to sunshineboosters.com. We have a separate website just with more information on scientific part of those fertilizers. And again, it's the same NPK, the same nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. It's just they come in a different form, which is amino acid based. And what is amino acid? It's the basics of life. Human beings, animals, plants, they all use amino acids in their metabolism. So we can call this fertilizers organic, basically. It's natural fertilizer that will be consumed by a plant completely without any leftovers, and they balance, and the plant will be happy. It will never do any harm to a plant. This is why we say you can fertilize with sunshine boosters year-round, even in winter. Because you remember we always teach, please stop fertilizing after November. November through March is no, right? And the reason why, it's not because a plant doesn't need food. They always need food because they grow, even when they grow slowly, right? Even in dormancy, they still need certain elements. But the thing is, when we apply traditional fertilizer, let's say slow release or any solid fertilizers that we dilute in water soluble, they may create excess salt. And that's what may kill a plant. You can literally burn your roots if you apply traditional fertilizers during winter. So to be on the safe side, don't fertilize in winter, except when it's a liquid amino acid fertilizer like sunshine boosters. And we have, as you said correctly, Tiger, we have all kinds of different, the whole spectrum of different types of fertilizers.
Yeah.
We have one for mango tree, we have one for flowering trees, for desert roses, for orchids. We have a Robusta
Pineapples,
fertilizer
yeah.
that is for, as you see, it's right there on your front table. I can see it with a
Yep.
large green leaf of a monstera leaf, right?
Yep.
That's called Sunshine Robusta. It's a super, super duper fertilizer that helps all kinds of plants to develop good, healthy foliage, and it boosts basically vegetative growth. So
Hey.
if you want to build up the growth on your plant, that's the one to use.
You know what? They look good enough to drink, don't they, Tiger?
Yeah, that's what
Exactly.
she
And
said.
they
Don't
come in
drink
juice
them.
bottles, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like naked juice.
But there is one that intrigues me, and it's your natural plant biostimulant, the Sunshine EPI.
Yes.
Now, I will tell people when you get this product, the smell of it is, I want to say it's kind of like smells like rubbing alcohol, Tatiana. And
Well, because it's based with, it's mixed with alcohol, so please
Right.
don't drink it.
yeah,
It's,
no,
it's,
no, no,
it's
but
the rubbing alcohol.
but-
It's not the kind you can drink.
yeah, but tell me a little bit about this product, because I think most people would be scared to put this in their plants.
Well, you
Because-
don't put the whole alcohol on
Right.
it. You just put a few drops.
and that's why it's in a
first of all.
dropper
So
bottle.
you dilute it with water, of course.
But how
Make
does
sure-
how does this
Make
one
sure
work?
to dilute it in not with the tap water. You need the purified water,
Okay.
and the distilled water is the best. And you don't need a whole lot, because this particular biostimulant, it works in very, very minimal quantities, amounts. You need literally a few drops per gallon. It works on the level of molecules. And it is created originally from, it's organic thing that is created from a plant, and it's completely plant-based, but it does create miracles. It affects the plant metabolism, and the growth rate speeds up like 3-4 times. It's amazing. We have on our website, on toptropicals.com and Sunshine Boosters website, we have some pictures of tomatoes to compare with and without, before and after, and the results, like I said, it's 3-4 times bigger size and bigger fruit and bigger plants and more production, and especially it works on young plants. It's very effective for young developing plants, for your seedlings, little cuttings, if you have some propagation projects. So
Yeah.
Sunshine Epi, we call it Epi, EPI.
And also,
Yeah,
I recommend
Sunshine
when,
Epi.
because us as gardeners, we always have those plants that we've bought and they've stayed in that nursery can a little
Yeah.
too long at our home, and we haven't gotten around to planting it. That product is also one that I do recommend for when you have that plant and maybe it's a little bit root bound and you're going to go plant it now finally. That's always good to put on with the first watering. It helps it get that good start. Now
Exactly. Yeah, we
speaking-
also recommend that to apply it after shipping plants.
Oh, yeah.
In any kind of stress situation. If your plant gets transplanted or shipped or anything that affected, created stress for that plant, if you apply just a few drops, dilute it, and spray the plant, it perks right up. So it really does perform miracles.
Yeah, and so speaking of transplanting and thing, let's talk about some of the fruit trees, because we hit on the mangoes earlier and some of the avocados, but over there at Top Tropicals, you guys offer such a wide variety of tropical fruits that some people don't even know they can grow. So what are some of the fruit trees that you recommend for the colder, hardier regions of the country?
Yes, thank you, Tiger. It's a really good introduction, and we do have hundreds and hundreds of varieties of fruit trees, and sometimes even customers complain, "Oh, I'm lost. You guys have so much stuff. I don't know what to pick."
Yeah,
Right?
where do I start?
So,
Yeah.
right. So today I can introduce you just a few, let's say 5 best plants that will be great for beginners, but they still will be very rewarding for you. So you don't have to wait forever until it fruits for you. You don't have to see the results in 15 years. You can enjoy it right away. And I would start with, like you already mentioned, we already spoke with mango and avocados, so obviously there is a lot to learn from those plants. But besides those traditional and famous plants, there is a few that people may not know. I would like to start with a very interesting variety of guava. Everybody knows guava, and of course everybody loves it. And it reminds some people of Hawaii. It has this amazing flavor, tropical flavor. But not everybody can grow it because it's pretty sensitive. You plant it in the ground, and if you get to serious frost, it can kill it. Now there is a variety. It's called the variety Hawaiian Rainbow. It's a small dwarf guava. The species is called Cymbidium nana. It's nana means small, right? Little baby. It only grows up to 3-4 feet tall. You can grow it in a pot. You can grow it in any climate. You can grow it as indoor plant. And surprisingly, it produces almost full-size guava's fruit. It's, I would say, a couple inches diameter. It's very good size. And it's very sweet, juicy, and it can take any tiny little space as long as you provide a little bit of a good amount of light for it. It will produce fruit for you almost year round.
Hey,
That's one of
Tatiana.
those things.
Tatiana, we're going to have to take another break. Sorry to interrupt you. You were just telling us about the guava nana, and we're excited to hear more about it. But we do have to take a break. When we get back from our break, we'll continue chatting with Tatiana Anderson from Top Tropicals.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you, Tiger. And again, those on Facebook Live, great time for questions, comments. I see Rick does have a question. We're going to try to keep up with as much as we can. Now, if by chance we missed one of your questions as we scroll up and down on Facebook, feel free to post it again so we can keep up with it. Again, John is off for the day. Back next weekend. It's Brian Main, Tiger Palafox, Tatiana Anderson. We're talking tropicals live from Florida. Stay with us. Going to be back after these messages on Biz Talk Radio, even quicker on Facebook Live. This is Garden America. And just like that, we are back as we continue. The show must go on. Happy weekend. Thank you for joining us, Tiger Palafox, Brian Main. Again, John back next week. As maybe John is watching us on Facebook, maybe to get an idea of how this whole thing looks and how we sound. So thank you for tuning in. And again, we continue to roll down the railroad tracks of tropicals with Tatiana Anderson.
Yeah, and Tatiana, before the break, was telling us about a guava nana, a compact guava. And Tatiana, just describe a guava for us real quickly, because they're a great fruit. They're a great fruit, not a grapefruit.
Great, yeah.
They're kind of one of those fruits that are just easy to pick and eat. You don't need to, take it inside and prepare it. I mean, there are things like they make jams and different things of sort of the guava, but they're also just great right off of the tree, right, Tatiana?
Yeah, it's very good as a fresh fruit, eaten out of hand. And I tell you what, once I had a big hedge of guavas, I didn't know what to do with so many fruit. And, I hate to see it just eaten by raccoons and stuff. So I collected them all. It was a few buckets of fruit. And what am I going to do with it? I put it in a blender. I added water and sugar, and I got a perfect guava juice.
Oh.
That is much better than whatever you can ever get from a box, from a canned guava juice, which is very flavorful. We'll love it. But the one that I made from real fruit is just a little sugar and dilute it with water, filter the seeds, and you'll have your guava juice forever. This tree is very, very productive.
Yeah, so and we do have different varieties. We have, obviously there's a lot more, but I think some of the common ones here in Southern California are the pineapple guava and strawberry guava. I know the strawberry guava is not the Cymbidium. The pineapple guava is here in Southern California. But, like you mentioned, there's a lot more varieties, and there's varieties that do well for other people.
Hey, Tatiana, quickly, we did have a question on Facebook Live. Somebody wants to know who developed your fertilizers, where this all came from.
Fertilizer sunshine boosters are developed by a team of scientists, and we have a genius scientist who is in Europe right now. He's the author of all the formulas, so the whole line of formulas, they are patented and trademarked by Top Tropicals. So he's a member of our team.
Okay.
And we have a team of engineers and scientists who continue developing additional products, and they coming out in the market very quickly. So just keep up with our updates on sunshineboosters.com, and we have lots of cool stuff
Outstanding.
that's never been on the market before. It's a revolutionary formula.
And you said sunshineboosters.com, right?
Correct.
Okay, somebody on Facebook or BizTalk Radio wants to look that up. Tiger?
Perfect. I'll put that on there. What other, okay, we were talking guavas. What other tropical trees do you recommend, Tatiana?
Well, the next one I would like to talk about a little bit is the yellow dragon fruit. You know, everybody probably knows dragon fruit. They sell it now in grocery stores, and usually it's the red-colored, kind of a dark pink. And if you guys tried it, sometimes it's kind of watery. There is no much taste to it. It's just a fun thing to do. Now, there is very interesting variety that we finally obtained, and we do have it. We have a few, not a whole lot, but we have a few specimens that are available for sale. It's a yellow dragon fruit, and it's a cactus. It's very fast-growing. And the flavor of this fruit, I would compare it, I don't know, probably with a mango. It's really flavorful dragon fruit. It even is different species. It's not the Hylocereus like most of dragon fruits, or pitaya as they call them. It's called Selenicerius megalontus, yellow dragon fruit. And this year we had it, actually 2021, we finally had this plant for sale. And we still have quite a few, probably enough for a couple months, because people really like it. It's a very popular dragon fruit. So this is something I would recommend. You can keep it in a pot. It's relatively cold hardy. You can grow it outside in your yard if it doesn't get too much freeze, but it's relatively cold hardy to light freeze. And it can take both sun and semi-shade. And you can water it, because I know people like to water sometimes, and it kills the cactus, right?
Right.
And with this one, it's not a problem. Like right now, I have it sitting in a regular area without any rain protection. And through all these rains last year, with the Florida rains, right, summer rains, rainy season was fine for them. They didn't care. Everything grows like crazy. They like water, but at the same time, if you forget to water it, come on, it's a cactus.
Yeah.
Nothing happens to it. So that's the second one I really recommend. It's something that is very unknown, and it's a new plant, new fruiting plant on the market.
And again, it's
Yellow
a great
pitaya.
great choice because, you know, you mentioned the watering. Even those people that are in drier climates, it does do well. It is a cactus, it's a succulent, and, you know, it's a great edible plant, but you don't need a lot of water, you know. And so if you're in one of those dry areas, you still get good fruit off of it if you don't, you know, water it very often.
Hey, Tiger, did you see Carla's question?
Not yet.
Just back up, just prior to the link that you put on there.
Uh-huh. Let me see here, Tatiana. Sorry, we got another question.
Okay, did you see it, Tiger? I got it.
Go for it.
Okay, so her son was given a guava seeding. She does not know the variety, but wants to know, is the nana the only one that can be grown in a pot? Also, what about a loquat?
Tatiana, so I think she's asking, can all guavas be grown in pots? And then also, can loquats be grown in containers?
It's a good question, because, in fact, the next plant I was going to talk about is a loquat. So I'm going to get back to guava. Yes, all guavas can be grown in a pot, including the tree, big tree variety guava, right? They can be pruned easily. They're very fast-growing. Just make sure to provide big enough container for large varieties. And they like water. They consume a lot of water, so just make sure to provide regular watering for guava if it's grown in a pot. Other than that, they're pretty easy culture in a pot. Also watch for mealybugs. That's another thing with guavas, that sometimes they're very prone to this kind of insects. But other than that, they're very easy, so it should be fine.
Hey, and then before you start, I know you were going to mention the loquats next. We are going to have to take a break here in about 30 seconds, Tatiana, so I didn't want you to start chatting about the loquats because we're very excited to hear about them as well. So we are going to take a break right now. We're continuing our discussion with tropical plants, or with Tatiana Anderson from Top Tropicals. about tropical fruit trees when we get back.
Okay, and those on Facebook Live, that's going to wrap up hour number 1. We've got news coming up top of the hour. Back with hour number 2, 6 minutes after on Biz Talk Radio only, and hopefully your market does carry the second hour of our show. That said, as Tiger mentioned, we're going to take a quick break. Back with Tatiana Anderson after these messages and news on Biz Talk Radio. All right, thank you for tuning in. Those on Biz Talk Radio, 6 minutes after the hour where you are on this pre-recorded program. Thank you for tuning in. And, of course, all those on Facebook Live, all of our viewers on Facebook Live, you've been there since the beginning. A lot of people tuned in today. Who doesn't like tropicals? A lot of great information from Tatiana Anderson, Tiger, as we continue going now in several different directions within the tropical arena.
Yeah, and she was telling us before the break about the guava head she had planted, and there were so many guavas on it, and she created a juice, which is excellent advice for anybody that does have a fruit tree in general and it's got overproduction. I know I do that with my oranges here at my house because, you know, you can't eat enough oranges to keep up with it, but making them into a juice is excellent advice. Now, another plant that overproduces, I feel, but it's a great fruit, is the Loquat, Tatiana. And you were just about to tell us about some Loquat varieties, you know, and where people should plant some of the Loquats that are out there.
Yeah, it was exactly on my list. That's one of those things I was going to talk about. Loquat, in fact, some people don't know much about Loquat, but we were surprised how delicious the fruit is, and there's so many applications to it. You can make jams, you can make wine out of it, you can make a dessert, you can put it on your breakfast. We have some recipes on toptropicals.com website. You can check it out. There is a link. If you find a Loquat tree, there is a link to article about different recipes. So there is a lot of fun stuff in there. Generally, Loquat tree can be kept in a pot. Yes. So that's the biggest advantage of this tropical fruit tree if you live in a really cold climate. Now, if you live in mild climate but still have some colder winters, it's okay because it is cold-hardy tropical, meaning relatively cold-hardy, of course. You don't want to grow it in Minnesota, but you can grow it in definitely anywhere in Florida, including North Florida. You can grow it in California, probably all parts of California, and it will take winters just fine. Now, the tree itself is kind of a dwarf, not dwarf, but it's a compact tree, and it's relatively slow growing, and some varieties are dwarf varieties. We have about 11 varieties, I believe, of Loquat on toptropicals.com website, so you can check them out, and some of them are real dwarf, so they grow, I would say, 6-7 feet tall, especially if you keep it in a pot. It's very easy. And it's a very productive tree. It's a good producer, and it flowers like crazy through winter. Right now we have them all covered with flowers, setting fruit. In Florida, we have fruit ready by April. So April, that's your harvest time. And right now, like I said, they're all full of flowers. They're all in pots. We have them in pretty big size right now. They're 5 gallons. And they're still very compact trees, shippable size, and we have several varieties there. So Loquat tree is definitely something that is for beginner or not a beginner. If you're an expert, you will appreciate that tree too. This is just simply something that every tropical tree collector, every tropical plant lover would enjoy and take advantage of and be thankful that he planted this tree. It's a good one.
And
good fruit.
Aside from the fruit, and again, I do want to emphasize they are heavy producers. So if you are going to get a Loquat tree, definitely do your research on some recipes, because in no time you're going to become a Loquat expert in different things because you're going to have so much production. But the tree itself, the plant itself, Tatiana, is so cool looking. With sometimes they have that deep green foliage, sometimes it's kind of bronze. The contrast with the golden fruit with the foliage, architecturally in a landscape, it's also an excellent. Now, one of the things we have an issue with is they do get, I mean, like you say, they aren't massive trees, but they do get large and they do produce a lot. But you're saying there's varieties out there 6 feet tall. That'd be so great to incorporate into a landscape, not just for the fruit, but also for the look of the plant, right?
Right, especially variety at Christmas. It's hard to remember the name because it's always full of flowers during Christmas time. And I thought, oh, that's why they call it Christmas.
Yeah.
Variety Christmas is very short stature. It's a very small tree. But some of the Loquat varieties, they do get bigger over the years, but usually it takes over 10 years until it really grows into something big. But you can prune it. Even if you happen to have a big size, full size variety, they respond well to pruning and they keep producing. So they don't mind pruning.
And they're very easy to prune. So, again, you can find all of these plants at toptropicals.com. And you have a few more for us, right, Tatiana?
Right. And the next tree I was going to talk about is actually jackfruit.
Ooh.
And some people may say, oh, wait a minute, jackfruit is the biggest fruit in the world grown on a tree.
Yeah.
You got to be kidding me. I cannot grow it in a pot. I can't just grow it anywhere. It belongs to Malaysia or Thailand, right? So that's not exactly true. This is what I thought originally. 20 years ago when we first started Top Tropicals, I was discovering all these interesting plants all over the world, all the interesting fruit. And I thought, wow, this is something crazy. It's bigger than a watermelon, right, this fruit. But then over the years, I experimented a lot with growing these trees, jackfruits especially. They're so fascinating. And I love the fruit, too. Very delicious. And then we just discovered last year this variety. It's called Orange Crush. It's orange color, and it's kind of crunchy fruit. Crunchy, and the flavor is amazing. It's the best I ever tasted. And so we have quite a few of these specimens here, and we have them available for sale. And you can grow it in a pot. And this is what I discovered from my experience. Jackfruit grows well in a pot. Eventually, it will grow into, I would say, 20, 25-gallon pot. Eventually, you have to target that size. But because jackfruit can be trimmed at the height of 6 to 7 foot, maybe even less, you don't have a problem. You can move it wherever you want. You can keep it in any small size space, and it produces this giant fruit on the bottom of the trunk. If you've seen pictures of jackfruit, I don't know, we may just upload it to the Facebook feed after we discuss this. They produce right there on the bottom of the trunk, so the rest of the tree kind of doesn't matter. It can be short. And I also discovered that it's pretty cold tolerant. Because everybody told me, oh, jackfruit is such a sensitive tropical, ultra-tropical tree. This is not true. We grow it here now in Central Florida, and it does just fine. It may produce less fruit than it would in real tropical conditions, but it does take some cold, and it does just fine. The only requirements for jackfruit is it likes water, and it likes organic soil, good organic soil, meaning with a lot of organic content. And you need to apply fertilizer in order to have a good crop with the jackfruit.
Yeah,
so again, jackfruit Orange Crush, I highly recommend this variety. Orange Crush is the best I ever tasted. And believe me, I tasted a lot of varieties.
Yeah, and I just posted a picture of it online, and I did see you have a lemon crush, you have the orange crush, and other varieties, and there are some pictures that of how they do fruit, and it's just this kind of miniature tree with the fruit right there on the trunk. So like you were saying, you know, it's not one of these orange trees or apricot trees where you got these fruit hanging off of these branches. Obviously, I don't think that the tree would be able to support these, or the branches would be able to support these fruit. That's why they're on the trunk, but that makes it easier to grow in kind of compact areas. Before we get into the next and the last variety you're going to mention today, Tatiana, we are going to have to take another break. Again, though, I do want to mention that a lot of these things, if you're online, you can follow us at toptropicals.com and see some of the items. Now, the jackfruit specifically, I did see, Tatiana, you guys are selling them in a 10-inch, 3-gallon pot for $67 or so. And, you know, I'm saying right now, you're not going to find these fruit elsewhere in these are specific fruits that maybe will grow for you. So, what a great resource for people to find tropical plants. But we are going to take a commercial break, and when we get back, we'll wrap up our conversation with Tatiana Anderson and Top Tropicals.
That's right, Tiger. And a couple of 2 or 3 more questions on Facebook Live. We want to get to those as well from Rick and Connie. So do stay with us. Those on BizTalk Radio have got a bit longer break coming up. Those on Facebook Live will returning, obviously, a little bit quicker. So with John out today, myself, Brian Main, Tiger Palafox, we're still going to go with Palafox. He likes that last name. Just kidding. Anyway, back after these messages on BizTalk Radio. We are live. We have returned from the break. As they say in the business, the mics are hot. I'm Brian Main, Tiger Palafox. This is Garden America. Thank you for spending part of your weekend with us. Or maybe you're watching one of our pre-recorded shows on our YouTube channel. We do appreciate that. Maybe you went to our Facebook page, scroll down, and are watching one of our previous shows as well. We continue and slowly wrapping up things with our good friend from Florida, Tatiana Anderson from Top Tropicals. Tiger.
Yeah, and before the break, Tatiana, we were going through your list of fruit that you recommended, and just to kind of recap for people, we did talk about guavas, we talked about loquat, we just talked about jackfruit, we talked about dragon fruit. What else do you have for us?
I also wanted to mention macadamia nut. So it's also a fruit, but it's a nut, right? We all know that macadamias are just so sometimes hard to find, and they are so expensive. People say, why is it so expensive? Because it's really pretty rare tropical tree. Not many farmers have it. It's really hard to find, and it's hard to find a plant for sale too. Because for quite a while we've been looking for these trees, and we couldn't find any. So we can plant in our garden and start propagation. Now, finally, we have macadamias, and it's a really good variety what we have. And we discovered that macadamia tree is also very easy culture. It's cold hardy to some light freeze. It doesn't have a problem even here in Central Florida. We have a location in Central Florida besides Fort Myers. The tree is very compact. You can grow it in a small garden, and they will start producing right away. Like, for example, we have trees probably a couple feet tall, and some of them have flowers already. So you will have those nuts right away once you plant a tree, or you can keep it in a pot if you want. So macadamia nut is actually not that difficult to grow, so I'm surprised why it's not that more widely spread among plant collectors and in the industry. It's really hard to find tree, but we have them available now, macadamia nuts. The only specific recommendations for macadamia is that this tree really needs microelements more than anything else. So some plants can live without it. They just take a balanced regular fertilizer that includes microelements. But macadamia nuts need additional application of microelements twice a year. And we do have it, in fact, with sunshine boosters. I see it on your table. You have this, it's called Sunshine Superfood. It's a complex, it's a central bottle right there in the middle. This is a complex of all microelements that plants may ever need, and macadamia nuts really enjoy and they respond well to this particular product. Microelements, superfood. It's called Sunshine Superfood. This is something that you need for successful production of your macadamia nut tree and for good quality. The leaves get greener, the plant gets better looking. So for the quality of the plant overall, it requires this microelement.
All right.
And I recommend the liquid. That's the best. And like I said, it can be grown in a pot. This is something that is easy container culture. It's a great addition to any plant collection. You don't have to plant it in the ground if you don't have enough space in your garden left from other stuff you have planted.
Yeah,
before.
exactly. After this list of plants, it's going to be tough to find room. But we do have a few questions I want to get to before we send you off here, Tatiana. The first one comes from a listener, Connie, and she says, and this was talking about dragon fruit.
Yeah, red dragon fruit, right?
Yeah, she has a huge queen of the night, which is just the flowering, epiphyllum. Are the growing rules the same, or are they different for the queen of the night compared to like a dragon fruit?
Not exactly. I mean, let's say as far as water, you can follow the same rules, don't overwater, but also, like I said, dragon fruit doesn't mind water. But with epiphyllums, we usually treat them as shade plants. They don't have to be all plants, like the more light, the better, the more flower production. But epiphyllum usually is a jungle understory plant that would look better and will be healthier in the filtered light. With the dragon fruit, I'd give it a little bit more light. If you don't have full sun, this is fine too. It will grow in filtered light, but it needs as much light as you can provide it for successful fruiting.
All right. And then we do have another question from one of our listeners, Rick, and I was looking on your website to see if I can just copy and paste. Do you know how many avocados you guys have on your website? How many varieties?
Yeah, varieties.
Last time I counted, I think it was 67 varieties, but I'm not sure right now. Some of them not be shown in store because they're still in production. Some of them may be added recently, so it's kind of, this number always changes. But overall, it's over 60 varieties for sure that we usually carry. We may have them on and off, depending on the production cycle, but we have a lot of varieties.
And I will say, people don't know this, but usually in the grocery store you're dealing with a Hass avocado. That's probably one of the most common ones.
Right, Fuerte.
Right.
And then there are the Fuerte and what's the other one? Fuerte and is it bacon or something? Or
Bacon is a good one.
Yeah,
another
yeah.
common. But
Winter Mexican is also a black Mexican variety, black color fruit. It's a good one.
But I mean, these other varieties that you guys have, the flavors are very different, almost so different than the standard avocado that we're accustomed to.
You're not even
eating.
sure it's an avocado.
Yeah,
it's so
because
different.
It is, and the reason why they use those avocados in grocery stores is because they ship well and all of that. Well, these other varieties might have a little thinner skin, but there's still an excellent flavor with lots of meat. Hey, Tatiana, that's all we have time for today. Thank you very much. So much great info. SunshineBoosters.com, TopTropicals.com. For more information, you can follow along, buy some plants from them. You guys are shipping right now, correct?
Yes, absolutely, year-round.
All
we
right.
can include heat pack if it goes to a colder area.
All right,
All
perfect.
safe.
Thank you very much, Tatiana. Great chatting with you as always, and enjoy the weather.
Thank you. You too. Stay warm.
Thank you very
Bye-bye.
much. Wow. One of our better guests in terms of the fact that, you know what, you ask a question and she goes.
Yeah.
And in a lot of
Lots of
different directions.
Great info.
Yeah, absolutely. And what you're looking at in front of us, if you're on Facebook Live, are some of the various products that they offer that we've all used and are currently using ourselves. And the one thing that she did mention as far as one of the takeaways is that you can feed some of your tropicals this time of the year.
They need it.
Yeah.
And she did say the reason why we don't is you don't want to push out growth and, all of those, but with her specific fertilizers.
Right. It
They're
acts
not-
differently.
They're not pushing out growth. They're just giving the plant the minerals and vitamins it needs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It'd be like giving somebody a vitamin boost while they're sleeping.
There you go.
They're not going
It's
to
still-
wake up, but you've given it to them,
It's
right?
still working,
That's still a weird analogy.
Yeah.
Okay,
I think I'd wake up.
It is break time on Biz Talk Radio, Facebook Live. Hey, those on Facebook Live, more questions, more comments. That's what we're here for. I'm Brian Main. He's Tiger Palafox. Back after these messages on Biz Talk Radio. It is Garden America. Of course, you know that. That's why you're tuning in. If you're a first-time viewer or listener, welcome. We hope you become part of our Garden America family. John is off today, just a little bit under the weather. Back next week. I'm Brian Main, Tiger Palafox. And Tatiana Anderson was our guest for the last hour or so with a lot of great tropical information. Those on Facebook Live, Tiger has the various links that we talked about this morning. Feel free to utilize and to take advantage of those links. And we got a quick question from Veronica, Tiger.
Yeah, so Veronica's asking, I have a holiday avocado in a large pot. How tall are they supposed to get, and how old before producing? So first off, the holiday avocado is a compact avocado. You're still going to want to have it in a pot that's the size of about a half whiskey barrel, which is roughly 24 inches across and, equally deep if possible. That's going to give it the most root production to be able to support the plant. Now, how tall that will get in that pot will probably be about 5-6 feet tall.
Yeah.
That'll keep it restricted to that. Now, in the ground, the holiday avocado can get 8 to 10 feet tall, a little bushier, but in a pot, it should be fine. Now, here is the age-old question of how soon they'll produce. Now, avocados are known to be, long-out producers, which means they need a few years to be able to produce a fruit. Number one, because the fruit is usually so heavy that you need a branch to be able to support that fruit. And then number two, it's just the cycle of the plant. Now, if you bought a holiday avocado in a 5-gallon container, it would probably produce fruit in about a year to 2 years. If you bought a holiday avocado in a 15-gallon container, it's probably already that 1 to 2 years
It's
older,
more established.
and so you could get fruit that same year. So, I hope that answers your question, Veronica. If you knew what size container you bought it in, that'll help you know. Now, I will say, though, usually you're not dealing with an actual crop of avocados until about year 3 or 4. That's when you're going to get that multiple fruit. You're going to get a sequence of ripenings on them. Now, that is the other thing, Veronica, is knowing when an avocado is ripened. So they do not ripen on the tree.
You put them in a paper bag with an apple and in a dark place, right?
That's a good way to force it. Exactly. But you need to just sacrifice 1 or 2 here when you think that they're big enough.
Take one for the team.
And you think that you just take it off, and then, like Brian said, you can throw it in a paper bag with an apple.
Ethylene gas, I believe is what it is.
Or, and that'll just kind of force it into ripening, which means that within a day or so, it should start to get soft. Otherwise, you could just take it off and put it on your counter, but that might take a week or so to turn soft.
The bag method speeds up the process.
Exactly. So, it's really hard to know when avocados are ready to be picked or when they're going to become ripe unless you start picking them and then bringing them in and seeing what happens. But once you start to pick them and then they're ripening a day or two later on your counter, now you can go out there, pick a couple, and then in a day you'll have ripe avocados for whatever it is that you're making, or, if you're making some guacamole, share it with us.
Absolutely, which brings us to the plant on your left.
Yes.
This huge orchid that you brought in.
This is a Cymbidium with a kind of a yellow gold colored flower.
Yeah, beautiful.
And believe it or not, this grows outside in a pot, no problem. Like full exposure
Full
to
sun,
rain,
really?
Full exposure to cold, full exposure to sun. So, if you live in an area like San Diego and you're looking for something tropical that does bloom, Cymbidium orchids are a great choice, and they grow really easy also through the summer months. They might get a little bit of foliage burn, if they are in full sun, but nonetheless, they are pretty hardy.
It's kind of contrary to everything that we've come to know and believe as far as growing orchids.
Right.
I mean, out in the sun, and that's why you're going to get a little bit of burn.
Do you have any orchids on your patio?
I used to, not anymore. Not now.
Yeah. A lot of people make the mistake in growing them on a patio is overwatering.
Yeah.
They do want that well draining. That's why you see them in bark. That's why you see them in like a cactus mix.
They just need a host to grow.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why you see them in trees, epiphyllums, right?
Epiphytes are plants that don't require soil, and they just have these air roots that absorb moisture and nutrients, and they attach themselves.
And again, don't need a lot of water.
Yeah, exactly. They just need humidity, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, But one of the things, and the question came up, was how to make your orchids bloom. A lot of the reason why you have to use fertilizers on orchids are because you're watering in a non-soil medium,
Right.
which means that there's not a lot of nutrients, so you have to supplement it with like the liquid fertilizers like Tatiana had mentioned and stuff like that, because otherwise it'll grow, but it won't bloom, or it won't grow very well.
Now, what about those people that they go to Trader Joe's, they buy an orchid,
like a moth orchid, the
right?
Phalaenopsis.
They bring it in, and then it blooms, and then it not dies, but then you no longer have blooms.
Yeah.
What are they going to get blooms next year, or should they just go out and buy another one? What's the best way?
Well, I mean, let's be real. If you have, I mean, usually those Trader Joe orchids, you get really beautiful ones for $20 or something, right?
Exactly.
So I mean, you're gonna spend the time and effort to make it rebloom. Just go get another one for $20 and you're good to go again.
Right.
But if you do want to make those Phalaenopsis rebloom, the people don't realize is you don't want to keep it inside. What you want to do when it's done blooming is actually put it outside in a shady, kind of cool part of the yard. So somewhere that gets a decent amount of light, but is cooler, because that cool temperatures is the signal for it to then rebloom. A lot of people will keep them inside, and they won't rebloom because they never drop down below, 70 degrees.
They need the cooler temperature.
Yeah, exactly. But then when it spikes and it starts to bloom again, you can bring it inside. You get a month to 2 months of flowering. And then when it's done, you put it back outside, wait for it to set another spike. And sometimes people will say, oh, well, I trim mine and I make it create a new spike. And that's fine. You can do that. It takes usually a little longer. But if you leave the flower spike, it'll bloom again a little quicker.
Mm-hmm.
But I think some people say that they don't get as big of blooms on the same flower
second
spike.
time.
Yeah. So that's why people will trim that spike and try to entice it to bloom again.
And we have a question about orchids right there, Tiger,
Okay,
back
you
on
wanna read
Facebook.
it?
Yeah, let's see here.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, lots of fun stuff. And there's Phalaenopsis, there's Cymbidiums, there's, all kinds of different.
Okay, well, they absolutely agree about the Cymbidium orchids. They have 3 large pots that bloom every year, located in Newport Beach. They require almost no special care and like to be in a tight pot. The question is, how do you know when to split them?
Oh, yeah.
In that tight pot.
Yeah, so I mean, to know, meaning to be like, okay, they are too big for the pot. With the Cymbidiums, you'll start to see some of the center of them die out, and you have to start to get in there, open up the pot, break off. You'll start to see some of the center plants dying out. Also, you'll start to see sometimes the orchid will grow out over the edge of the pot.
And they're outside all year, by the way.
Yeah, and sometimes they'll grow outside over the edge of the pot, and it split it. But as they mentioned, they don't mind a nice compact environment, and I've seen massive Cymbidiums in small pots doing just fine. So, when you start to see die out happening of your Cymbidiums, it's time, but you really don't need to do it until you see that if you're concerned. But they could also be divided earlier, and you can get more and more plants. They're great plants to share with friends.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And they are great cut flowers as well. So, like, this spike here, I can cut. You see how it has a few unopened at the tips of it, and that's what you want, because those are going to actually open up in the house. And that's why when you're buying an orchid at a nursery or a grocery store, you want it to not have flowers all the way up the spike.
Right.
You want a few of them to be closed, because those are going to then open up later, which means it's going to be a longer bloom period. So
and you've got some more going on the other side, too.
In the back, there's a whole spike that hasn't even opened up yet.
Still very green.
Yeah, exactly. And so, and then when dividing them, it's actually, like I say, really easy, because usually it's just a bunch of roots. So you just get a nice sharp spade, or you can use a saw and get in there and separate the orchids. Now, I do, recommend fertilization when you transplant, and then as Tatiana mentioned, she has her biostimulant, but then also HB101 are great to use whenever you do this kind of separation transplanting to prevent shock.
Okay, we're going to take a break. We have just one more segment coming up, a quick show today. So if you have any more questions, comments on Facebook Live, make sure you squeeze those in our next segment, which is one of our shortest segments of the show. So a quick break on Facebook Live, a bit longer on BizTalk Radio. Brian Main, Tiger Palafox. We're going to take that break as mentioned. On the other side, wrapping up today's show here on BizTalk Radio and Facebook Live. Stay with us. All right, we have returned from the break. Quick break on Facebook Live, a bit longer on BizTalk Radio. And again, those on BizTalk, thank you for tuning in and supporting the many supporters of our show and BizTalk Radio.
I don't know. I didn't check, but I did want to mention with orchids, a problem that orchids get are different bugs. Scale are usually the most common bugs for orchids, and it's tough because you have to be cautious with spraying different insecticides on them because they are a little bit sensitive to different things. So, just keep on top of, if it's getting scale and insecticidal soaps, washing them off, neem oil, things like that, because they don't always kill the plant, but they can definitely make it where it struggles. So
right.
Keep the health up and you'll prevent bugs on your orchids.
And when you get home, that goes back where, outside or inside?
Yeah. But no, I put that outside. It's in a big 5-gallon pot, so I keep it. I keep it in a decorative pot out on my back patio. It's nice. I can move it around, But I'll probably take that one flower spike off and bring it inside and do a little arrangement inside the house.
And let's see, Carla, I guess says that's just a comment.
Okay.
Not a question.
All right. Man, so much great stuff that we're covering, right? Back to orchids, head phalaenopsis.
Yeah.
Yep, perfect. Put it outside. Good stuff.
Yeah, really, great.
Okay, let me see here. Oh, Veronica answered us back too. She got that avocado in a 5-gallon pot, but in a 4-foot tall, 3-foot across, and now it's 7 feet tall. Got flowers last year, but more fruit. Hope for this year. Yes. So yeah, I think that she's right on the cusp.
Yeah.
So she'll be getting production now. And avocados are also one of those ones that you want to fertilize because they need that to produce fruit, and especially in a container, because you got to remember with fruiting trees in containers, the only thing they are getting are what you give it. And if you don't give it nitrogen, if you don't give it those micronutrients, if you don't give it those minerals it requires to produce fruit, they won't produce fruit. In the ground, you get much more leeway. There's all kinds of things you don't even know in your soil that are there.
Exactly.
And the tree can tap into that, but not in a pot. So fertilization is very important in a container.
They talk about, microclimates, small areas. Your pot is almost like a microclimate in terms of the only thing going on is what's in that pot, as opposed to the ground, as you mentioned, where they can branch out and tap into other resources when it's in the ground as opposed to the pot.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Lenore asked, where can I get that Cymbidium Orchid? Lenore, I would love to give you a specific location, but there's such a variety with the blossoms. I don't know which exactly this one is.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe after some research I can find it for you and I'll post it. But, most local garden centers, Cymbidiums are a pretty common variety because they do grow so well compared to some of the other orchids that you can find them usually at a local garden center.
And can she put her phalaenopsis outside in her area?
Yeah, as long as it's covered and protected,
right,
it's not going to be a problem. You just wouldn't want to have full exposure. Again, they're very hardy, and they love the cool weather. If you go into an orchid house for Cymbidiums, it's actually pretty cool. They don't keep them very warm in a greenhouse environment. They keep them really cool.
But that goes back to what you said about them blooming, right?
That's what they need to know.
They want the cool.
Yeah, that's their trigger, is getting that cool temperatures to bloom again.
Have you noticed that I've got the hiccups?
I
keep turning the mic on and
off.
Yeah,
on and off. Brian, I know when Brian has things going on because he gets very busy with buttons over there.
Yeah, buttons, yeah. So, and the worst thing in the world to be on the air and get hiccups.
Oh, right?
So I'm trying to dodge it.
Or a cough that you can't get. normally you get this cough, you cough, and then it goes away. But when you're in the studio,
Of course.
you don't want to do that. So you're kind of holding it in the whole time.
And do you have buttons to say cough on there?
Yes.
So
yeah, it shuts off my
all
mic.
that does is shut off the mic so you can cough.
Yeah.
I don't have that here. I got to turn when I feel a hiccup. Well, you can't feel a hiccup coming, but I try to anticipate it, and I turn the mic on and off.
But still, if you want to do a real cough to get it clear, you'll probably, if I cough real loud in here, you'll pick up my cough.
Pick it up.
Yeah.
Way in the background. Okay. Do you use kelp as fertilizer? I haven't used it for years.
Yeah.
But you can.
It's a great fertilizer.
Yeah.
It's a great fertilizer. You do have to be careful because sometimes kelp will burn. So you just got to be cautious when using it and diluting it the proper amount.
Yeah, that would be one time when you do want to adhere strictly to the directions in the label.
Yeah. But I mean, we love kelp here as a fertilizer in general, just overall, because again, it's an organic product. It's water soluble, so that means it's going to get into the root system real quickly for yourself. And it's again organic fertilizer that has a lot more besides just nitrogen, phosphorus, and potash in it. And it also helps the soil. Whether you're working with the ground or with containers or a raised bed, it helps create that wonderful soil environment that we love here with earthworms and all kinds of other beneficial microbes as well. Where a liquid organic or non-organic liquid fertilizer usually is salts, and it'll actually kill some of that soil life.
So do we have who do we have lined up next week, Tiger? Do we have that etched in stone yet as far as our guest?
No, we don't have that lined up etched in stone yet for next week. But we're talking about doing a podcast, so if listeners are interested in any particular subjects, I know we were talking about, doing it on a specific plant, a specific plant explorer. So we'll be talking about that. So if there's anybody that is piquing anyone's interest out there right now on our Facebook feed, or if you're listening to Garden America on your radio, you can go to our Facebook and just drop us a note and say, hey, I'd love to know about why do we use marigolds?
That you bring up a good point that if there's any topics you want us to cover, drop us a message, write it there on Facebook Live or Facebook when we're not live, and we'll try to cover it. I think that's going to do it. As
you hiccup through the end.
And on the video, you keep seeing me jumping around. That's the hiccups if your volume is down. So for the entire crew would be John Begnaska, who's a bit under the weather. He returns next week. And, of course, myself, Brian Main, Tiger Palafox. A big thank you to our guest, Tatiana Anderson from Top Tropicals. Those of you on the Biz Talk Radio, faithful listeners, those on Facebook Live who partook in today's show with your questions or comments. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have a great week and be safe. We'll do it again next week right here on Garden America. Take care.